though we're not done with the rest of it. So I know my screen is a little blurry, but this is just the best I can do. So starting today, go ahead, cross them off. And this is what I told the other classes. Are you ready? Hey, get your hands off that stylus. This is what I told the other classes. I'm wondering if this would work better for you. See if that would work better. If I didn't teach you this decimal trick that I'm going to teach you today, you would not survive 5th grade math. Actually, you would. But it would be difficult. And we're going to make it easier, okay? So this place value chart concept is good, but it's not practical, okay? In fact, my teacher directions don't say anything about the decimal trick that I'm going to teach you today, but we've got to do it because we don't want to take a whole lot of time putting digits on the place value chart when we have an easier way of doing it, okay? So the first trick that we're going to use is actually called the zero trick, and it was probably used by you in 4th grade.
What?
So we're going to talk about it here in just a second, okay? But I want to read this problem first. A school district ordered 247 boxes of pencils. Each box contains 100 pencils. If the pencils are to be shared evenly among 10 classrooms, how many pencils will each class receive? Now, you can go ahead and cross off, draw a place value chart, because we're not doing that step, okay? All right, so the next thing I want you to know is that this actually has 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. You can write that maybe on the outside of the box, okay? And I'm looking for words that tell me what I need to do, whether it's add, subtract, multiply, or divide. So raise your hand if you've got an idea of a word I should put a box around. Sierra?
Each.
You got it. What does each usually tell me I'm going to do?
Multiply.
Multiply. And that's the case here. Okay? And now, looking for some other words that don't choose how many. What do you think? Axel?
How many?
Don't choose how many. Sierra's got another idea.
Among 10 classes.
You're close. You're very close. Go back a couple. Randy?
Evenly?
Okay, and let's put shared evenly with it.
Got it.
Okay? Now, shared evenly tells me I'm going to do something. And I'm going to give you a little story example. So put your pencils down for a minute, okay? There's a book that I used to read my 3rd graders, and it's called The Doorbell Rang, okay? And basically, Mom made 12 cookies, okay? And Sam and Amanda, her children, were going to eat the cookies. And she said, here are the cookies. You can share them. So how many do you think each child got? 6. How did you figure that out? 12 divided by 2 kids equals 6 cookies. So now picture a plate with 6 cookies on it. One in front of Sam, one in front of Amanda. Okay? Well, the doorbell rang. And it's the 2 kids from next door, and I can't remember their names. This is a real book. And Mom said, come in. You can share the cookies. And Sam and Amanda go, ooh. So now we've got 4 kids and 12 cookies. How many cookies is each kid going to get? 3. You did 12 divided by 4, didn't you? Well, the story goes and goes and goes, and they end up with so many kids in the house that they had to start cutting cookies in half. And then the doorbell rang again. And guess who it was?
Who?
Grandma, with a whole tray of cookies. Grandma saves the day, right?
I remember that story.
Okay, so what do you think I'm going to do when I see shared evenly? Divide. Okay? So now I've got some more ideas of what I could do with these 3 numbers in the problem. Why don't you talk with your table group about what you think we can do with the numbers in the problem? All right, so table 3. Let me roll the die. Well, 1, 2, 3. Lee Marie, what did you guys decide? What's the first problem going to be?
247 divided by
Not divided. Times what?
100.
Okay, now don't write this. This is not the best way to do the problem. We know a zero trick. You learned it in 3rd or 4th grade, I think. Okay? So to do this problem, let's write it like this. 247 times 100 going across. Everybody write that down. Get your pencil, write that down. Okay? Now the zero trick says if I've got a whole number and I'm multiplying by 10 or 100 or 1,000, I can just add what to the end? Zeros. So how many zeros should I add to the end of 2? So go ahead and write 247 and add 2 zeros. And then we're going to talk about what to do next. Okay, so I know that I need to go through and count to place this comma. Eyes up here, please. 1, 2, 3, place the comma. Kind of like when we count over 3 and write our decimal. Only this time we're counting over 3 and placing a comma. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, now, here's what else I know about children.
What?
You missed part of your 3rd grade year. And some of you missed part of your 4th grade year. So I'm going to give you a really good hint for saying big numbers. Are you ready? When you get to the comma, say the word 1,000. Trust me, it works every time. 24,700. Then you won't get confused. Okay? All right. So I've got 24,700 pencils. That's a lot of pencils. And we're going to share those evenly among 10 classrooms. So now what problem do you think, Helena?
I have to go to 24,700 divided by 10.
Divided by 10. Okay? Go ahead and write that down.
I know how to do it.
You know how to do it? Okay. And actually, if you've been paying attention, I actually showed you how to do it on this zero trick poster. Well, it's not really a poster.
Oh.
Okay? But what do you think you're going to do when you divide? Cash, go ahead and tell me.
Take away a 0.
Take away a 0. Now, I can only take away 1 because 10 only has 1 0 in it. Okay? But if this were 100, I could take away 2. Now I'm going to write it without the comma. So my answer is 2470, 1, 2, 3, comma.
2,000.
Now let's say the number. 2,470. Okay? So when we get to the problem set, we're going to have quite a few big numbers. And so the big numbers, the comma tricks are going to help, and I'll tell you what you do when you have 2 commas in a number, okay? So you already know. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to go down to problem 1, and we're going to see if we can use the zero trick again. Let me get rid of that. Okay, so 367 times 10. It has to be a whole number. And if I multiply, I can add zeros to the end. So does that trick work here?
Yes.
Yes, it does. So I'm just going to write 367, add a 0. Count over 3, place the comma. You should be writing. And then we're going to say the number. 3,670. Say that for me.
3,670.
Okay, your classmates are going to love hearing your voices since they didn't get to see you today. Okay, the next one. Now the zero trick says I can cross off a 0 when I divide. Is that going to work here?
No.
Absolutely not. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to Google Classroom. Go ahead. Yes?
I think I already know the bottom one.
Okay, but let's go to Google Classroom like the teacher said. And I want you to go to the classwork tab. Now, I'm on the computer, obviously, so mine looks different than yours, okay? But your classwork tab is in the middle of the bottom, right down here. Do you like how I'm moving across the screen? It doesn't work on the iPad.
I know.
And look, I'm blowing a kiss goodbye. See ya. Going to the pool. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so you're going to go to classwork, and you're going to click on this thing that says blank page growing theme. You're going to click on that. Now, mine's going to open up in Google Docs. Yours isn't. Yours is going to open up on the iPad, blank page. Now hit it again. Now if you're at home right now or you're doing your homework at school, you're probably going to have to write on a piece of scratch paper, unfortunately. Unless we can minimize the video, pause the video, minimize it, use Google Classroom, then open the video back up and keep going. And you might be able to do that, okay? But for me, because I'm on a computer and it doesn't look right, does it? Okay? I'm going to open a blank page of my own. Whoops. And it's just boring, but it will work, okay? So on this blank page, I'm going to teach you how to use the decimal trick.
I'll just do this.
Okay, so my question here, because I do have one, I can't use a zero trick. So if I'm a smart kid, I'll look up at the front of the room and see that it's probably going to be the second trick I have written.
That's 0.
Put your stylus on the magnet. If I can't use the zero trick, what trick, Lee Marie, do you think I'm going to use? The decimal trick. We just read it, didn't we? Here's the decimal trick. The decimal trick is opposite of the place value chart, but it's so much faster. It's more practical. We're going to do it, okay? So the decimal trick says when I divide to move the decimal to the left. But the problem is there's no decimal in 367. So what in the world am I going to do? Randy.
You're going to put a decimal and then put like tens, hundreds.
Okay, so here's what Randy thinks, and I've told you this before. When I write the number 10, I don't write 10.0, do I? No. And I don't write 10 point or 10 decimal, do I?
No.
But the decimal is always there. We just don't write it. So what Randy's saying is, technically, we could put the decimal on, then we could put tens, hundreds, thousands, but we don't need those, do we? No, we don't need tens, hundreds, thousands. Is it going away? We just need the decimal. So write pretty big in the middle of it, but not too big. Write down 367 decimal. Okay, so you got it?
No, mine's not working. You probably got to do it.
Wait, am I recording? Yes, I am. The decimal trick says, when I divide, move the decimal to the left, and put the stylus on the magnet for a minute, okay? So if I'm dividing by 10, how far do you think I move it to the left? Once. Once for each place value. So watch me. I'm going to draw myself an arrow, place my new decimal. Wait. Take my eraser, erase the old decimal and the line. And I have an answer. Okay, now I'm going to undo that.
I look like
You want to try it on your own? Okay, go ahead. Move the decimal once to the left with an arrow.
looks like a smiley face.
Yeah, it kind of does. Okay. Then take the eraser. Now your eraser's really cool because you just tap and it disappears. Did you figure that out? And this is the answer I'm going to write on my paper. So on my paper, I'm going to write 36.7. Okay, let's go down and do the next problems. I don't know why it still says problem 1. That's odd to me, but oh well.
We erased that there.
Go ahead and erase the 36.7. Now, did you know if you hit the eraser button twice, you got a clear page option?
Yeah.
Hit the eraser button twice, and then it says clear page. So if you want to be really fast, you can do it that way, okay? I've got a clear page on mine. It looks like this. It's this double red arrows. Okay, so first decision we have to make. Can I use the zero trick? Because it's easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. So how many zeros will I add to the end of 4,367? 1. So we'll write the answer 4,367 and add a 0. Go ahead and get your pencil and write that on the paper. Then 1, 2, 3, comma. Stylus on the magnet, please. Now say the number with me. 43,670. Good. The next one. Can I use the zero trick, Helena? No. Why not?
Because if you put it away, it'll be the same number.
Right. So here's what Helena's saying, okay? And I'm going to erase my X for just a minute. You don't have to write this. But she's saying, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Here's my decimal, right? 4,367. Technically, there is a 0 there. We just don't write it, correct? And if I cross that 0 off, the value doesn't change. So I can't use the zero trick. I have to use the decimal trick. All right, so 4,367. You with me?
Yeah.
Okay, how am I going to use a decimal trick if there's no decimal, Lee Marie? How am I going to use the decimal trick if there's no decimal? Is there really a decimal in this number and we just don't write it?
Yeah.
Where is it?
At the end.
At the end. And I always say it comes after the ones place. So if you know the digit in the ones place, you can put the decimal after that. Now what are we dividing by? 10. So how many times do I hop it to the left?
Once.
Okay, you ready? You already knew what was coming, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now take your eraser.
Yeah, we're really lucky.
Yeah, you are. You are. Okay. So what's my answer? 436.7. So on my page, whoops, I didn't say my place, did it? 436.7. Okay, how are we doing?
Good.
Clear your blank page off. We got some more problems. So turn your paper over.
And then it's the back page.
Okay, so I've got some news for you. You can't use the zero trick when there's a decimal in the number.
Oh, no, you can't.
No, you can't. Hi.
Hey, Jasmine Mason, do you know which numbers hers or which chord she uses?
All right, so if the number has a decimal, you have to use a decimal trick. Okay? So 215.6, is that the number? Okay, everybody write it down. Well, it's a mystery.
It is.
What am I multiplying by, boys and girls?
100.
100. So do you think I'm going to move it once or twice?
Twice.
Okay. Can you go ahead and... So the reason I want your stylus on the magnet is because I want you to watch me do this before you do it, because it's different. Okay? If I'm going to hop it twice and I only have one number, I'm going to hop out into the empty space here. And I've got to leave room for a number. What number would I put there?
0.
Very good. So watch that again. I'm going to undo it, okay? All right, so hop it twice. Write my decimal.
0.
Write a 0. Then we can erase the old decimal. Now, I want to ask you a question. How do I know which one is the old decimal?
That's the one that you drew the line. No, the one that.
Lee Marie.
You can tell it's the only one if it doesn't have the arrow pointing.
If it doesn't have the arrow pointing to it, it's the old decimal. Very good. So that's the reason for the arrow. So then go ahead and do this. And then erase it. And you're luckier than me because you get to tap and it goes away. Now erase your old decimal and your hop. And your arrow. And I've got 21560. So I'm going to write 21560. Do I need the decimal at the end?
No.
No, I don't put it at the end of 10, do I? So I'm not putting it at the end of this number. 1, 2, 3, comma. What number is this? Read it to me. 21.
21,560.
Okay. How you doing?
Good.
So when you multiply, you're going to move the decimal to the
Right.
right. And here's your anchor chart to show you. Okay? When you divide, you're going to move the decimal to the left. Okay? So let's go back to the blank page. We're going to start with 215.6 again. This time we're dividing by 100. So watch me. You're going to stop between the numbers. Okay, I'm going to undo that in case you weren't watching. Whoops. I'm not going to undo that. I'm not going to undo the 6. Okay, watch. Go ahead and do this one. So you're starting with 215.6.
Oh.
Start over. You're going to hop it backwards. Whoops, I'm on eraser. You're going to hop it backwards 2 times, 400. Then you'll erase your old decimal and your hops. So my answer is 2.156. So go back to my paper. Oops. Get on the pen, Mrs. Lewis. 2.156. How are we doing?
Good.
You like this iPad business?
Yes.
I know. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, so now we got 3.7 times 100. Can I use the zero trick?
Yeah.
No, there's a decimal in the number. So clear your iPad screen, write 3.7, and if we're multiplying by 100, which way do I move it? Which way do I move it? Look at your anchor chart.
Right.
Yes. So you're going to move the decimal to the right. How many places?
1. 2.
Well, make up your mind.
2.
2. Oops, I forgot my arrow. 1, 2. Place my decimal. I've got an empty space.
0.
Very good.
Can we do that?
Yep. I don't think you need me anymore, do you?
No.
You're doing pretty well. So when I write this answer, Ivan, when I write this answer, do I need the decimal?
No.
No. It's just 370. Can you see, Ivan? Okay, all right. Now let's do it again. Back to the blank page. Aren't you glad I came up with this blank page idea?
Yeah.
And it's 3.7, right?
Yep.
Okay, this one's a little different. I want you to put your, after you write it, put your stylus on the magnet, please. Okay? All right. We're dividing by 100. Look at the anchor chart. Dividing by 100.
Left.
So we're going to move it left. How many?
2 times.
2 times. Okay, watch me. Don't pick up the stylus. What do you think I fill in with?
0.
What else do you think I need?
Another 0.
A 0 in the ones place, because is 37 thousandths less than 1 whole?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to undo this thing. You give it a try. Divide by 100. So I've got 0.037. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video there. You guys did a great job.